Alright, it's been a while since we've watched the Nick Fuentes video. Let's have a look at what's going on here.
So get a load of this. So the other day, I reacted to a clip of Sneako crying on a live stream. And then here's where it gets crazy. Aiden Ross reacted to my reaction to Sneako. And then Asmongold jumped in and he gave his thoughts on Aiden Ross reacting to me talking about Sneako. But not to be outdone. Watch this. Then Sneako jumped in. He came back, circled back around. He reacted to
Reaction Inception.
to Aiden talking about me reacting to Sneako crying. So I want to bring up this clip, and I want to get your thoughts on this. We're going to jump in. We're going to see what Sneako said about all this. We're going to pick up where we left off the last time that I jumped into this controversy. And we'll see what everybody's saying online. So this is where it gets interesting. Now, this is where it gets a little bit dramatic. So I'm going to pull it up here on Twitter. We're going to watch the clip. And let me move myself out of the way. Just so you can, really follow what's going on. I'm going to go up here. Let's just see. I want to see what
1, 2,
Sneako
3,
had to
4,
say
5,
about all
6.
this. Let's take a look.
So, okay, the reason that there's 4 screens is because Asmongold, as you saw, he doesn't want to have conversations.
It's the reason why I don't do debates. It's the reason why I don't.
He doesn't do the debate because he doesn't like it pressure, and so it's like you see 5 reaction streams. Listen.
Sneako, move to Iran.
Okay, there we go. So he laughed. Aiden Ross says Sneako moved to Iran. Asmongold laughs. Controversial take right here, because you see this from white supremacists all the time. Well, they'll say like Indians are a Jewish bioweapon. They'll say that the Jews use
Asmongold isn't a white supremacist.
Indians. India is the motherland, and Israel is the fatherland. That they use minority groups to be bioweapons to destroy the world. Hot take, the strongest bioweapon for the Jews is white people. That is the strongest racial bioweapon for the Jews. If you want to call Indians bioweapons or other minorities bioweapons, who is the ethnicity doing the bit?
I don't remember Asmongold ever calling immigrants bioweapons.
Giving all the money, giving all the military equipment, and fighting the wars for the Jews.
Here, there's another clip. We got to see the whole reaction.
Sneako, move to Iran.
Okay, there we go.
Hang on, wait a second. Do I have the right clip? Find the right clip. Get to the right slide. No, it's Yeezy Cell. Here it is.
Fucked up.
We got to see the whole clip in its
So much
entirety.
worse shit going on in other places in the world that nobody really sheds light on. I know you guys are saying the Jew, of course, is trying to
Look at
no, dude, it is fucked up what's going on.
And Aiden right here is doing what the Jew yesterday did it in Times Square. I'm debating this Israeli, and he's saying, what about North Korea? The UN doesn't talk about that. Yeah, they do. What about the protesters in Iran? The UN ignores that. No, they don't. They talk about it. Well, there's other stuff going on in the world. Oh, why do they care about
There's no active massacres going on in North Korea that I know of.
the genocide? Because fathers in this video that I just showed that all of them seem to not even see, it like literally doesn't compute to their brains. These are parents that have to dig their children out of rubble.
Wait.
This is not normal.
Nick? Who's this Nick in the background? Bruh.
That's something you can't say on Twitch.
A dreadhead in the background. What's blood?
This is not supposed to be regular. This is not something that just is on social media. Oh, this is just another clip that happens. There's nothing normal about this. This is not regular. But there's other stuff going
Yeah, that's one reason I chose to do this today. We're still on kick.
on. Yeah, and I speak about the lights turning off in Cuba. You see the Cuban diaspora chimp out and celebrate it. You talk about the Ukraine war in Russia. This is a proxy war between the U.S. and Russia. That's horrible. But this is genocide specifically on women and children. The UN just confirmed it. That the IDF, the IOF, is specifically targeting children, sniping babies while they're breastfeeding from their mother. This is not something this is just like stuff bad happens all.
See, by the way, this is like
By the way, if you're a streamer, it's not great to have someone walking around in the background distracting people.
here's the problem. Sneako is like every other brown clown in the sense that all these people know how to do is play the victim. All these people know how to do is cry. And they're also the biggest cry bullies. Muslims and non-whites and all these people, they come into America and they say, if you have a problem with this, it's because you're weak. White genocide is happening because you're weak. Your fertility rates are low. White genocide isn't real. It's because you're weak and we're strong and you are white supremacist and this is the New World Order, whatever. Muslims are taking over. And then when Jews, vastly superior technologically, are blowing up Palestine and Gaza, then they want it, then literally turns into, think of the women and the children, the women and the children. They're like Jews in that way. Muslims are indistinguishable from Jews in the sense that they are the biggest cry bullies. Jews do exactly the same.
Well, if you want to put it that way, yes, it's the media. There are Jews that believe the mainstream media about what's going on in the Middle East and think that, oh, the Gaza genocide is just nonsense because, you know, like CN doesn't really report on it and stuff like that. And on the flip side, Muslims believe that, oh, the UK grooming gangs, that's nonsense because the mainstream media isn't reporting on it. Same thing. Just different perspectives. I'm the one that I don't believe mainstream media, so on both the grooming gang and what's going on with the Palestinians, I'm like, yes, it's pretty horrible.
Same thing. Jews are always saying, oy vey, think of the 6 million at the Holocaust and all this. And then they turn around and they say, we need to make the Goyim afraid of us. We're like the bear Jew from that movie. And Muslims do exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. They love to take up space. They love to dominate New York City and do their call to prayer. They love to. He posted a video the other day of these Muslims chanting, getting ready for war. And then they turn around and they say, why aren't you crying about the women and the children? Bismillah, alhamdulillah, blah, 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 blah. Brown clowns are the biggest crybabies. Honestly, somebody just needs to tell them, like, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care anymore. And the reason that white Christians don't care anymore is because Muslims do not give a shit about America or about white people or Europe at all. They remind us of...
This is big-time generalizing. There are some Muslims that do care. And you can't judge an entire race by the actions of a few. Whether it's what Netanyahu and his crew are doing in Israel or what the grooming gangs are doing in UK. Yeah, there are bad individuals of every ethnicity.
Of this, and they tell us all the time. Do they not? Rupert Lowe from Restore Britain, a far-right anti-immigrant party in the UK, he put out a report a couple weeks ago about the epidemic of grooming gangs in the United Kingdom, most of them Muslims. For those that don't know, there's an epidemic of Muslim Middle Easterners raping women and girls in the UK and killing young teenage boys in the UK. And by the way, this happens all over Europe. It happens in France, it happens in Belgium, it happens in Germany, it happens in Italy. These disgusting third world primitives, mostly from Muslim countries, come to Europe, steal from our generous welfare states. And when I say white, I mean, when I say ours, I mean white people's. They prey upon the young girls. They're indecent in public, and they murder and
some of them, but too many of them.
Try to gang up on and kill young white men. And when this happens, do we hear anything from Muslims? Anything at all? Do we see the atrocity propaganda on Twitter?
But that's the media's fault. If the media was reporting on it, yes, they'd have some reaction. But both there'd be reaction on part of the UK general population and on the part of Muslims in the UK. And the problem might get solved if the media covered it. But you see, all these big social problems, you need awareness of them to fix them, to generate the pressure needed for change. And so when you have a media that fails, it slows everything down. You need the word to spread slowly through content creators like Asmongold or through X. And that's happening, and you have the rise of right-wing parties in Europe, and when those right-wing parties finally get into power, the problems will begin to be fixed.
like we do with Palestine? Do we see Muslim activists coming out and condemning this? Do we see Muslims coming out and saying this is a tragedy and something must be done? Do they protest? Not even a little bit. No, actually the opposite. All Muslims do is try to cover up and lie about it. That grooming gang report came out, and all Muslims like Sneako did was come out and try to discredit the report and say that anybody that was talking about it.
Yep, that's terrible. It's no different from people trying to downplay what's going on with the Palestinians. It's the same difference. You're trying to paper over the suffering of people.
It is a Zionist. Anybody that's talking about Muslim rape gangs, they're part of some Jewish plot. That's not real. Why do we always blame Islam? We don't blame Catholics when Mexicans sell drugs. Why are we blaming Islam? You see the double standard? Muslims, who by the way hate us, the Palestinians in Gaza, they hate us. And you may think that maybe they're justified in their hatred. That's a separate conversation. They hate us. They don't like Christians. They don't like...
We're providing Israel the weapons that are killing them. So it's understandable that they do not like us.
America. Same with Iranians. Same with a lot of these people. They don't like...
And by the way, it's mainly the U.S. government that they hate. Like the chance death to America in Iran, it's death to the American government, the government that's been bombing them. They know that most American people didn't support the war, so it's more the deep state that they're mad at, the establishment.
America, there's no love lost there. But when they are slaughtered, when their infrastructure is destroyed, and truthfully, when their women and children are killed, the refugee tents are bombed, Americans and white people and Christians and leftists too, we're the first ones to speak up. We're the first ones to say it's a genocide. We're the first ones to say Israel has to stop. It's all the European countries sticking up for them. Saudi Arabia is not sticking up for them. The UAE isn't sticking up for them. It's France.
Because those are U.S. puppet states with U.S. military bases, and they're not going to go against Israel for that reason.
Emmanuel Macron recognized a Palestinian state. It's Spain. It's Ireland. It's these countries. It's white people sticking up for brown clownistan. It's always the foolish, altruistic white people sticking up for brown clownistan. Meanwhile, their own people couldn't give a shit. You know, for all this talk about Muslim solidarity and, Muslims don't infight, and that's the beauty of Islam. Saudi Arabia is the land of the Prophet. Saudi Arabia is the land of the two holy mosques. And they're the biggest accomplices of Israel. Always have been. They are the...
No, the biggest accomplish of Israel is the U.S. They're the second biggest.
Biggest accomplices of the United States and Israel. Where do you think the U.S. gets their oil and their energy? Since the Roosevelt administration. The Saudis are allowing their territory to be used for all of these operations. The Saudis are allies.
Yep. The war against Iran wouldn't have been possible without Saudi Arabia. The air bases Saudi provided and the airspace, it just would have been a logistical nightmare to attack Iran without it. So, yes, they're definitely a belligerent in the Iranian war.
Of the Israelis. Yes, the king of Saudi Arabia, the custodian of Mecca and Medina, is an accomplice to the genocide in Palestine. But these cocksucking brown clown Muslims, they don't want to talk about that because they're always going to take their own side. They're never going to throw one of their own under the bus.
For the record, it makes sense that you care more about the genocide of your own people than the genocide of others. Therefore, if you're a Muslim not living in the UK or the Middle East, it makes sense for you to care more about what's going on with the Palestinians than the grooming gangs in the UK. But you could be condemning both.
They're always going to defend their brand, their nation, their ideology. They don't critique their own people involved in the genocide. They don't critique their own people raping white people. They're not there defending it. It's all of the white people that are going to stick up for Palestine. It's the white people that are getting preyed upon by Muslims and nevertheless still being tolerant of your religion. And by the way, so this was Sneako trying to get everybody to cry about Palestine. He was showing some video.
By the way, not all the Muslims in the Middle East are like that. There was Iran and Syria that, well, Syria under Assad, that weren't complicit in what Israel is doing. I guess you're just ignoring that, Nick.
Video of some dude crying in Palestine. He's telling his supporters, you guys need to look at this and cry about it. And Aiden Ross rightly said, you know what, man? There's a lot of bad stuff happening in the world, and we just don't have the bandwidth, man. You want us to cry about the third world? Get in line. Look around the world. There's stuff happening in Congo. There's stuff happening in Somalia. There's stuff happening in Libya. There's stuff happening in India and Pakistan. There's stuff happening all over the world. And it's true. The only reason that I'm against the situation in Iran and the rest of it is because Israel is occupying our country and they're making us do things on their behalf.
I'm against it because it's going to create an oil shortage that wrecks the global economy. And the fact that the United States is going to lose, and I happen to be American.
That's it. That's it. Aside from that, these Muslims in Palestine, as far as I'm concerned, they're indistinguishable from all the other brown clowns in the world that fucking hate us and are in some miserable squalor. I feel sorry for them. That's a shame. I wish them the best. But that's not why it's an issue for America. It's an issue for America because Israel occupies our system, and it's a problem for Israel. That's when we'll play the clip.
This is the worst recorded genocide we have ever seen in history. Well documented in 4K.
Worst recorded. That means a genocide that's been recorded more than others. I'm going to be charitable and interpret it that way because there have been far worse genocides in terms of just numbers and horrific acts. Just nearby, the genocide of Christians in Syria was worse than what's going on in Gaza.
Are you kidding me? That's just not that.
And there are tons of records of that too, of what they were doing to the Christians there. Videos online, if you look for them.
It's just not even true. That's just not even true. The worst genocide in history, arguably, is the genocide of the Europeans in World War II. Almost 100 million white people dead. 100 million white people dead in World War II. You could say that it's the Holodomor in Russia. There are genocides on a much bigger, but it's always like, this is literally no different than what Jews do. Don't you understand? Don't you understand that Jews and Muslims are two sides of the same coin?
They are both religious groups. They have that in common, yes.
They both think we're idolaters. They both have a bullshit religion based on works and trying to trick God with this arcane law code. How is it any different? Jews say you can't flip the lights on and off on Saturday.
Orthodox of any religions are extreme and have practices and customs that make no sense for modern people. I'm sure you can find Christians examples of this too. There are Muslims that don't abide by any of these restrictions, and there are Jews that don't abide by any of these restrictions. I know some of them.
Saturdays, Muslims say you got to brush your teeth with a stick. Jews say you got to wear a big giant top hat, a big giant black top hat everywhere. Muslims say you got to...
And those hats look stupid.
Squeeze your dick a bunch of times after you piss, after you go number one. I mean, look, and if you don't, you're displeasing God. We have to do these things. We have to take part in these...
I hadn't heard about that one.
Legalistic, works-based codes to satisfy God, right? They both think we're idolaters. They both do that. And they both fundamentally only care about their own people. Jews on the one side crying about the Holocaust, Muslims on the other side crying about the Nakba. Jews on the one side crying about the 6 million and the 1,200.
This is just such huge generalizations.
On October 7th, Muslims on the other side crying about 1948 and colonialism and the American Empire and Gaza's the worst thing ever. No, the worst thing, let me tell you the worst genocide in the world right now. The worst genocide in the world right now is being perpetrated against whites. And would you like to know why? It's because whites created civilization. That's why. Because when white civilization falls, there are...
I'd argue that, for example, China has done some good stuff in terms of civilization too. That if like industrial revolution hadn't taken place in the West, it probably would have happened in China or Japan.
There goes the civilization of Shakespeare and Dante and Mozart and Michelangelo and Virgil and Homer. There goes the civilization of the golden race. Palestinians are going to get pushed somewhere else, okay? They were pushed into Jordan. They were pushed into Lebanon. They're pushed into the Sinai. They're pushed all over the place. I'm sorry, what are they doing in all those other countries? You know, it's a horrible tragedy what is happening. It is a brutal, devastating campaign by the Israelis, and it's an absolute tragedy.
Good.
But white people need to learn to stick up for ourselves.
I agree with both those things. Yes, the white people should be carrying it just as much about the mass migration as they do about what's going on with Palestinians in Gaza.
Muslims don't care that we are being genocided. It's also a tragedy that...
Yeah, at this rate, Europe is finished in 100, 200 years. No white people left.
Every white country is being invaded by immigrants. Our homelands are being destroyed too. You don't give a fuck about that. I don't think there's a single Muslim alive that cares about that. Certainly not the ones in the Middle East. Certainly not Sneako. Sneako.
I'm sure there are some that care. There's some like me. There are those that value culture and history, and they want to go to Europe and see Europe, and they don't want to go to Europe and see Middle East and Africa.
Got done saying last week, white genocide isn't a big deal. It's not real. It's all in your head. It's because your fertility rates are declining. Everyone's fertility rates are declining. Only our countries are being invaded. Every country in the world, their fertility rates are going down, and almost all of them are below replacement. No one is escaping this. The difference is white countries are the only ones being invaded by non-whites, and that's because they're better. They're better. We have more.
They're richer.
Stuff. That's the difference. We are rich. They are poor. We are advanced. They are primitive. We have technology. They don't. We're productive. They're lazy. That's the difference.
I will point out that China is now a first world country, and it is not dealing with this migrant situation. It doesn't tolerate that shit. And it's one of the countries that's doing the best. Don't let yourself be overrun by migrants, and things tend to work out pretty well.
There's no exodus of white people moving to the Middle East because it's a dump. And before you go and complain about colonialism, I'm sorry, are they moving to Turkey? When was Turkey colonized? Are they moving to any Muslim country? Absolutely not. There's no exodus of white people moving to any one of these. Are they moving to Ethiopia? They were never colonized.
Yep, the leftists only care about diversity in the West, and that's a recipe for genocide of white people. If you had as many white people going to the places all these migrants were coming from, if there was a balance, then it's the entire world that would be losing their culture, and the entire world would become like Los Angeles, so one homogeneous mess with no distinct culture or religion. At least that would be fair. But no, it's just white people in Europe that get the genocide treatment in terms of migration.
Although Ethiopia is Christian, to be fair. But no, there are no white people moving to any Muslim country. Those people are moving into Europe because Europe is rich, because Europe is smart, because Europe is productive.
I was going to say, no, they're moving into Europe because Europe is dumb. It's because Europe is getting welfare to these migrants after they come in and giving them free apartments, free food. Yeah, Europe is dumb, or at least the leaders are evil. Either way.
Because Europe has civilization. And anyway, so we'll listen to them, but this is just always. And by the way, I'm just so sick of the third worldism on the Israel critical side. I'm calling them out. It's the Tucker Carlsons of the world.
Oh, no, Nick, you just have to. Your beef with Tucker Carlson has to end. It's so annoying. And stop telling people to vote Democrat, because stop fucking over your viewers. Don't tell your viewers to vote against their beliefs. If you want to tell them not to vote, not ideal, but it's better than that. Write in a candidate. Just don't vote for people. The Democrats you're telling your viewers to vote for, they want the mass migration. You're telling your viewers to vote for mass migration. It's retarded.
It really is. It's the Tucker Carlsons. Candace Owens has a little bit of these sympathies, not as badly. It's people like Sneako. It's people like Ian Carroll. It's people like Dan Kazarian. They're third worldists. They're anti-American, anti-colonial. They're basically left-wing, way too sympathetic to Islam. It's the opposite side of the same coin. I'm America first. I don't want a Zionist-occupied government. I don't want a brown clown-occupied nation. How is that any better? If it's a question of whether we're going to have Jewish oligarchs control the elite sectors of our society, and a question of whether America will be invaded and outnumbered by brown immigrants, I'll choose neither. I want neither of those things. I don't want my city to be full of brown people from other countries, foreign born. I don't want my country controlled by Jews either. Where is that middle position? No one seems to be offering that other than me. You've got Ben Shapiro on one side who says Jews.
Are you really offering that? Because you're telling your viewers to vote for mass migration.
Must dominate America and Muslims are the problem. Then you got Tucker Carlson on the other side who says, I just bought a house in Qatar and I love Islam. Submission to God sounds good to me. Islam's not the issue. It's Israel, whatever. And I'm here in the middle saying it's about white people.
Tucker is anti-mass migration too, you know, just like I am.
It's about Christians. It's about Americans. How about we're doing neither of these? How about we want... I don't want Sneako in my country. Look at this disgusting human being. Look at this ugly...
You know, there is... now you're just insulting a person. Well, I don't really watch Sneako. And from what I hear from him so far, not that great. But anyway, you know, there's a way you could just say, I want to send back the migrants from the third world without necessarily insulting and needing to hate the third world. You could just, I just don't want them living on welfare in Europe and some of them committing huge amounts of crime. You don't need to hate all of Islam just because of the actions of the worst of that faith.
Who wants this in their country? You want this to be America? He's not, he's just some mystery meat. I mean, look at this. This is a result of multiracialism. This is literally an image of multiracialism in one picture. Brown clown third world cup jersey on, mystery meat face, looks like Robert De Niro's kid. He looks like Matt Nuclear, looks like a monkey ears, completely ignorant, completely stupid, hates America.
I remember that guy from the Shoe on Head video. Yeah, if you're going to, I'll put it to you this way. Sneako is a 10 compared to that guy.
Live on television, double tap missiles. Oh, there's other stuff. They don't even talk about the other stuff. They don't know what's going on. They just want to misdirect. They want to talk about something else.
Besides, talking about the worst genocide that's going on right now, I'd say Ukrainians are getting fucked over the most in the world right at this moment. In every possible way. And that, yeah, the amount of dead Ukrainians dwarfs what's going on with the Palestinians.
Uncomfortable. It makes them sad. It makes them feel guilty. And they don't want to feel like that. Ignorance is bliss.
You know, in the Middle East and stuff. But there's other places in the world where there's other fucked up shit happening.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't even know where.
And nobody speaks about that. Nobody. You got NBA players that will do 20-year deals with all these big corporations in China where it's just children making merch and shoes all day. Nobody speaks about that. So my point is this moral like high ground thing.
Yep.
There's so much fucked up shit happening.
Moral high ground. Okay. Moral high ground because there's sweatshops in China seeing things that are upsetting from a genocide, like seeing a father cry because his children have been killed by missiles. You're on a moral high ground.
Dude, let's just stop pretending about it's the kids. It's the kids. Look at what they do in these Muslim countries. You think they care about the kids? In Afghanistan, they're grooming the kids to be like gay dancers for the adult men. You ever hear of Bakabazi? It's the...
Yep. The Bakabazi, I believe that was a practice that the Taliban put an end to. And then when U.S. came in, they brought it back. So I don't know if that's still going on now that the Taliban has taken control again. First heard about it because of Tim Pool. He explained it. Taliban had actually outlawed that practice, the practices of men using young boys for not good things.
The kids, it's the kids. Don't even get me started. They come to Europe and they rape kids. Muslims come to Europe and then they rape kids. You want to talk about the children? The women and the children. Muslims come to Europe and they rape women and children. Let's just stop with that. Isn't it so ironic that Muslims use liberalism against our country and they don't even believe in liberalism? Suddenly, Muslims that believe in Sharia law, that believe in warfare, they hate all infidels, they want infidels to be killed. Suddenly, Muslims want to say, what about the UN Convention on Human Rights? Human rights? You don't even believe in human rights. Women and girls, you rape women and girls all day in Europe. So I'm totally on Team Aiden Ross on this one. If I have to pick, I'm with Aiden Ross, I'm with Asmongold. I'm with Asmongold in the bottom left. I'm with Aiden Ross in the top left. Look at this guy. Look at this. Look at him. Whoops. Let me get my mouse on the screen. Look at him.
Yeah. When you're having an ideological debate, just insulting the other person's look is just, I don't think that's helpful. It's just a low blow, and it's usually because your position is weak or that you do something like that.
Look at what a vulgar and wicked person. You could just see it. He's as ugly on the...
You want to attack what he says and his behaviors, sure, but if he was, like, not clean cut, he's dressing fine, he looks normal, he's not, no dirt on him, that's good to go as far as I'm concerned. And you have Asmongold on this side. Are you really going to do stuff about looks when you have Asmongold over here? Are you going to go after Asmongold's looks too? About this balding man over here in the corner, and you're going to start attacking his looks? No, you're not, because you know his huge audience would come after you. You have no business attacking Sneako when you have Asmongold on the screen. And
inside as he is on the outside. So I'm on...
Not that I think Asmongold is particularly ugly, but it is not that much of a difference.
Team Aiden. I'm on Team Aiden Ross. I'm on Team Asmongold. We don't care anymore. Muslims have officially overstayed their welcome in the right. We don't care anymore. We have seen what you're really about. For 2 years, Christians, white people, Europeans were deeply sympathetic to what was happening in Palestine. And then in Europe, when we found out about the migrant rape gangs, when young white men are being stabbed to death by Muslims, we don't hear a peep from Muslims. So we don't care anymore. You can take your atrocity propaganda and you could shove it in the same place as the Jews' atrocity propaganda. Okay, we don't care about your Muslim tears. We don't care you're crying about atrocity propaganda on Twitter. Take that shit somewhere else. I'm America first. I'm not a leftist. I'm not an anti-colonialist. I'm not Muslim. And I don't want you people in my country. Can we get Israel to stop bombing Gaza so we could send all these fucking...
And just like I suspected, I just wanted to take a break. And the Bakubazi that he's talking about, the Taliban have always maintained that Bakubazi is a violation of Islamic law. Taliban founder Mullah Muhammad Omar and his small cadre of supporters began recruiting boys and extracting summary justice on those who engaged in Bakubazi. So maybe a lot of the people that engaged in this fled to Europe after the Taliban took over. See, in 1994, the Taliban consolidated their control by cracking down on this practice. Then we came in and we reinstituted it. Under our rule, Afghanistan produced most of the world's heroin for years, records amounts, and we allowed that practice of abusing kids. Do you think that we were the good guys against Taliban? I'm not so sure.
People back since they love it so much. You ever notice that? That's all they care about is what's happening over. They don't care about the genocide here. They care about the genocide there. They don't care about the people here. They care about the people there. Clearly, they identify more with the people in the Middle East than they do with the people here or in Europe. They don't care about us. They don't care about our civilization. They don't care about anything that we care about. So honestly, I'm in favor of let's bring Israel to heel, restrain Israel, regime change in Israel, get them to stop, stabilize these Muslim countries, and then let's send them all back.
I agree with his plan.
Let's send all of them back.
That's actually the exact plan I've been saying. I want the places all these migrants come from to be peaceful again, and for the migrants to go back to those places that are now peaceful.
Let's send the Jews back to Israel. Let's send the Muslims back to the Middle East. You two have overstayed your welcome. We're sick of both of you. We don't care and we don't want your problems in our country. This is a Christian country. We were doing just fine without you fucking people. All you seem to care about is what happens in the desert. Maybe it's time you go there. That's the part I just fundamentally can't understand. Here's the difference. You know, Sneako will say, well, you know, I'm Muslim and I care about the Middle East, and Nick is Christian. He cares about this. Here's the difference. You're in my country. That's the difference. That's what these foreign born, that's what these brown clowns don't seem to understand. You're in our country. Okay? The United States.
But leftists have been brainwashed into thinking that our country, the West, is everyone's country. And anyone anywhere in the world has the right to our land, our welfare. And you're a Nazi if you don't think that we should be giving money to every third worlder who sneaks in illegally.
Of America was founded by white Christians. You want to be some brown Muslim? Show a little respect. Show a little deference. But that's the problem. You don't respect this place. So you need to leave. We didn't come to the Philippines. Nobody pulled up to Haiti. Nobody pulled up to Egypt or Saudi Arabia and started telling them that they got to care about our problems and you got to care about our homeland and you got to intervene in our conflicts and telling them this is the way it's going to be now. No, it's the other way around. I can't be in a coalition with these people. I just can't. Okay? Muslims were useful in 23 and 24 when we were getting the message out. Okay, there is a Jewish oligarchy controlling the country. Israel does dominate our foreign policy.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes thinks the Jews control everything. It's not the Jews controlling everything. There is a deep state that is very apart from the Jews that has been fucking us over. Although there is a high-level group of Jews that is part of that and is fucking everyone over.
And Muslims are obviously affected by this deeply. And so Muslims were useful in 23 and 24, getting the word out, amplifying that message, giving us some reinforcements on the timeline. But now it's very clear that we have diverged. Now that everybody knows, now we need to start drawing some lines here. And we need to make it clear. If you don't care about America, you're not part of this movement. This movement is America first. It's not Palestine first. It's not Islam first. It's not Israel first. This is America first. And America came from somewhere. America came from Europe. Okay, America's roots are in Rome, in Greece, in London.
And those roots are being erased as we speak by mass migration. And it's a takeover.
America was discovered by European explorers. That's where we're from. That's America's identity. That's what we want to restore. That's what we want to expand. That's what we care about. That is what deserves primacy. So these other people with their archaic value systems, these other people with their legalistic religions, go home. Time for all of you to go home. Sneako cries and cries about white people while living in a country built by the white man. Hey, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Okay, clown? All you want to do is sit in your New York City apartment and bitch and fucking cry about America and the white man and Christians while you sit in a building inside of a city, inside of a country that white Christian men founded, pioneered, explored, built. You do it on technology built by white Christians. You do it with protection from white Christians in the police force, in our military. If you have so much pride in your backwards religion, if you have so much pride in your formerly colonized ancestral homelands, why don't you fucking go live there? Why don't you go and
Well, because he likes money and he likes modern conveniences.
live there? Why don't you go back to Haiti? Go stay in the Philippines. Go stay in Saudi Arabia if they have it going on. You ever notice that? It's no different than these black people. It's no different than these black people that want to sit inside cities, inside of a country that they believe is white supremacist, but which they will never leave, begging
Yeah, if the United States was so white supremacist, why would you want to live there?
us for handouts, begging us for government programs. Meanwhile, you got about 50 lowest development countries sitting right over there in Africa, ready to be developed by them. They'll never leave. They will sit there in our country taking money from white people inside of places built by white people, bitching and moaning about white people. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace.
And the media's a big part to blame for that, for spreading the white privilege, white guilt message to everyone. And it affects everyone since the propaganda is so widespread, and it's responsible for all the white hate in the world.
And they just need to be reminded of this.
Or a good
You're in
part
our
of it.
country. This is a country that we built. You're so proud of Islam and the rest of it. Hey, man, plane tickets are cheap. Go live there. Go fucking stay there. You like to go visit Morocco and Saudi Arabia and Philippines and Indonesia. He says the other day, Philippines was a Muslim country. You're a monkey. You're an ignorant monkey. Why don't you just go and stay there next time? Oh, wait, you can't because those countries are poor and stupid. You got to come here where we have stuff. It's just the most ridiculous. And I've had it with all of them. As an American, I've had it with all of these people. You know, my ancestors came here and actually appreciated this country. That's why they assimilated. They love this country. They love the flag. My ancestors served in World War II, served in Vietnam, volunteered in the National Guard, in the military, were police officers. My ancestors actually love this country. They're patriotic. They would die for this flag. They would die for what this flag represents. We were grafted onto this country because we love this country. These other people, they don't even know who they are. They're so confused. This guy, he doesn't even know what he is. One day he's Muslim, one day he's a Jew.
That sounds like Hassan, who he's white or he's not white, depending on the day.
One day he's Haitian, one day he's Malcolm X. It's a disgrace.
Do you see how insane this is getting? How people are following the idea if you can't beat them, join them?
In the world already as it is, and people don't want to speak about the many issues. I'm not saying Sneako or Nick don't at all, by the way. My point I'm trying to make
Does Asmongold say anything in this video?
is the people that are like protesting with tranny flags and Palestine flags, saying like, oh, they care about Palestine. They don't give a fuck. They're doing it for attention. People that actually like take time and research and donate about Palestine and actually take there and they actually do.
Yeah, I did. I opened up a charity for Palestine, and I don't see any of these people on the screen talk about it. Like, even if my streamer friends or anything, did any of them contribute? Did any of them try to amplify it? Did anybody donate? Did anybody, like, spend time? Are there 4 reaction screens to talk about this? We had this, and it was very successful. For Lent and Ramadan, we raised $200,000. My charity's on Sneako.org. It's right there. It's in my bio. Feed Gaza. $200,000. Look at the footage. Have you seen any of them talk about it?
Yeah. 200,000.
Well, that's a good cause to raise money for. If hopefully all that money actually gets to where it needs to go. And I have no issue with that. Though, my concern always goes out to those who are suffering, where there's not widespread awareness to what's going on. So many people around the world know about Palestine. But the victims of, like the grooming gangs in UK, get very little coverage in the mainstream media, and none by the left.
Dollars for foreigners. That's all they care about is foreigners. And it's a vanity project. Let's just not even trip about that. Let's just put our name on it.
Aiden's saying they just do it for attention, right? The liberal.
Literal vanity project, by the way. I don't know. Do you get the credit? Do you get the credit if you put your face and name on it? That just sounds like an advertising campaign.
Yeah, well, that's fine. If you've raised $200,000, then yeah, putting your face on something, that's fine.
Right? I think real charity is when you give money quietly or silently or do it without getting attention. No, it's when you literally put your name and face all over it saying, look at what a good person I
Both are real charity.
did it. I raised money. Look at me. Look at me. Like everything else. Anyway, we're going to move on. But I got to say, I'm Team Aiden Ross. You know what? I'm coming around, man. I'm Team Aiden Ross. Asmongold's talking a lot of sense. I think people collectively are done with this. Fuck Hassan Piker. Fuck Sneako. Fuck third worldism and the DSA and socialists and communists. I'm an American patriot. I'm a Christian. We're done with that. This is definitively...
I'm going to have to watch a video about what's going on with New York, because it's absolutely crazy with the new mayor and his policies at some point. Maybe not today, because we have a lot to get through.
A right-wing movement. Anyway, we are going to move on. We're going to get into our news. We're just doing a little fun stuff because there's not a ton going on.
Okay, that was a fun video. Asmongold was in it without saying a single word in this 32 minutes. It's funny. But Nick Fuentes is still energetic, and on certain topics like this, I agree with a lot of what he says. Then on other videos, he tells people to vote for mass migration and Democrats. And then he goes after... in this video, nothing to do with Tucker Carlson, but he had to go after Tucker Carlson again. He holds his petty grudges so hard. Yeah, Asmongold was just there for the clout. I agree. You don't know if he's captured? Well... he weighs his awareness. Like, if someone's watching his streams about Iran, they are more informed than someone who watches Asmongold's stream about Iran, because he goes over more of the facts. The problem is, basically telling people to vote Democrat, for example. But so that isn't good. But on the flip side, he is raising awareness of the real facts in stuff like the Iran war and Muslim grooming crisis and all that. So he is a positive force, I think, overall, except he negates a lot of that positive force by telling people to vote Democrat. Anyway, this will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Come watch on Kick or Twitch, and I'll see you next video. Bye.